Let me ask you something. When was the last time you uploaded a video that you were genuinely proud of? The editing was clean, the information was solid, the value was real, and it still flopped. Got maybe 100 views if you were lucky, maybe less, and you sat there wondering what went wrong. I'll tell you exactly what went wrong, and it probably has nothing to do with your content. It has everything to do with 5 to 10 words sitting above your thumbnail, your title. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. On YouTube, your title is the gatekeeper. It decides whether people give your video a chance or scroll straight past it like it doesn't exist. And today I'm going to break down exactly how to write titles that actually get clicked. Before we get tactical, we need to understand something fundamental about human behavior, because if you skip this part, the tactics won't fully make sense. When someone opens YouTube, they're not sitting there carefully evaluating every video on the screen. Their brain doesn't work like that. Instead, their eyes are scanning fast, almost like they're on autopilot, and their subconscious is doing the filtering. The brain is constantly deciding, is this worth my attention? And it makes that decision in a fraction of a second. Here's what's wild. Most titles get filtered out because the viewer has even consciously registered them. Their brain already said no and moved on. So if your title doesn't trip some kind of wire, if it doesn't create a small emotional reaction, the viewer's brain won't even flag it as something worth stopping for. This is why clicking is never really a logical decision, it's emotional. The viewer feels something: curiosity, worry, excitement, desire, and that feeling is what makes them stop scrolling and tap. Your job as a creator isn't to describe your video, your job is to trigger a feeling. That's what earns you the click. Without the click, none of your content matters. It doesn't matter how good your editing is, how deep your research goes, or how much value you're delivering inside the video. If the title doesn't do its job, nobody even gets to find out. So what emotions are we actually trying to trigger? After analyzing thousands of high-performing YouTube titles, it all comes down to 3 core emotions: curiosity, fear, and desire. Let's break each one down. Curiosity is arguably the most powerful one. It works by creating what psychologists call an information gap. You give the viewer just enough to know something interesting is there, but not enough to satisfy the question. Their brain hates that gap. It wants to close it, and the only way to close it is to click on your video. Think about the difference between a title like "A copyright strike affected my channel" versus "The one mistake that nearly ended my channel." The first one tells you what happened, the second one makes you ask, what mistake, what happened, I need to know. That's the information gap doing its work. The key to curiosity-based titles is to start a story without finishing it. Tease the outcome, hint at something surprising or unexpected, let the viewer's imagination do the rest. If your title answers its own question, there's no reason to click. The second emotion is fear, specifically the fear of missing something, doing something wrong, or falling behind. Humans are wired to respond more strongly to potential loss than to potential gain. It's called loss aversion, and it's deeply baked into how we make decisions. Fear-based titles on YouTube usually revolve around warnings, mistakes, and missed opportunities. Something like "Stop doing this if you want more views," or "The thumbnail mistake that's killing your click-through rate." These titles create subtle but real anxiety. What if I'm doing this wrong? What if this applies to me? And that anxiety is enough to stop the scroll. One thing to be careful about here: fear doesn't mean being sensational or clickbaity. If the title feels dishonest or overdramatic, viewers will feel manipulated and you'll lose trust fast. The fear has to feel real and relevant. The third emotion is desire, the feeling of "I want that result." Desire-based titles speak directly to what your audience is trying to achieve. They promise a transformation, a shortcut, or an outcome the viewer generally wants. Things like "How I hit 10,000 subscribers on a brand new channel," or "The upload schedule that tripled my views in 30 days. These titles answer the most important question in the viewer's mind: what's in it for me? They make the benefit crystal clear so the viewer knows exactly what they're getting before they even click. Every great YouTube video title hits at least one of these 3. If your title doesn't create curiosity, fear, or desire, if it's just a neutral description of what's in the video, it's going to be ignored, guaranteed. Now that you understand the emotions you're trying to trigger, the next question is, how do you actually do it with words? This is where power words come in. Power words are specific words or phrases that instantly amplify an emotional response. They don't change what your video is about, they change how it feels to to read the title. They act like shortcuts for the brain instead of the viewer having to consciously decide whether a video is worth watching. Certain words bypass that process and make them feel like it is. Compare these two titles: how to improve your YouTube title versus the title formula that will double your views. Same topic, completely different emotional weight. The second one uses words like formula and double. They're specific, they imply results, and they carry momentum. Every niche has its own power words. If you're in the fitness space, words like shredded, 6 weeks transformation, and no equipment hit differently than generic descriptors. If you're in the finance, words like passive income, compound, and debt-free carry real emotional charge. You need to know what language your specific audience responds to. That said, here are some universally effective power words that tend to work across most niches. Finally, never, secret, exposed, proven, warning, instantly, the real reason, nobody talks about, the truth about. These work because they signal that this isn't just another video on the topic. There's something new, there's something hidden, there's something important being revealed. But here's the thing, power words are amplifiers, not replacements. You can't just sprinkle the word shocking into a weak title and expect it to perform. This emotional core has to be there first. Use power words to reinforce the emotion you're already building. Don't rely on them to create emotion from scratch. Let's talk about length, because this is one of those things that sounds boring but generally affects your performance in a real measurable way. The sweet spot for YouTube titles is somewhere between 7 and 11 words, not because someone made up an arbitrary rule, but because of how people actually consume content. When viewers are scrolling, they're not reading, they're skimming. Their brain wants to extract meaning as fast as possible with as little effort as possible. A title in the 7 to 11 word range is long enough to create context and curiosity, but short enough to be processed almost instantly. Go shorter than 7 words and your title often becomes too vague to trigger anything. Go longer than 11 and you risk losing people before they even absorb the full message. There's also a technical reason to care about length. YouTube cuts off titles at around 55 characters in many placements, especially on mobile, where more than 70% of views happen. If your title is too long, it gets truncated and viewers see parentheses where the rest of your title should be. If the most important part of your title is buried at the end, it might never be seen at all. This is why word order matters as much as word choice. Front load your titles, put the emotional hook, the curiosity trigger, or the main promise at the very beginning. Even if someone only catches the first half of your title while scrolling, they should have enough to be intrigued and want to click. Think of it like a newspaper headline. The headline doesn't bury the lead, it hits you immediately. Your title should work the same way. Here's something most creators don't think about, and it's a big reason why so many titles underperform. There are actually two fundamentally different kinds of YouTube titles, and they serve completely different purposes. Writing the wrong kind for your goal is like showing up to the wrong game. The first type is browse-based titles. These are titles designed to interrupt someone who is passively scrolling through their home feed or suggested videos. These viewers aren't looking for anything specific, they're just open to being grabbed by something interesting. Browse titles are heavy on emotion and curiosity. They're less focused on keywords and more focused on stopping the scroll. Examples: I tried posting every day for 90 days. Here's what no one tells you. Or the thing that changed my channel overnight. Nobody is searching for those exact phrases, but when someone sees them while scrolling, they feel pulled in and they click on it. The second type is search optimized titles. These are written for viewers who already know what they want and are actively typing it into the search bar. Search titles need to be clear, keyword rich, and specific. Think how to edit YouTube videos for beginners, or best cameras for YouTube under $500. These titles might not be emotionally explosive, but they rank in search results and bring in steady, consistent traffic over time, sometimes for years to come. Neither type is better than the other. They serve different purposes and feed from different traffic sources. The key is knowing which one you're writing before you start. If you want a video to blow up quickly and ride the algorithm, you're writing a browse title. If you want a video that quietly accumulates views over 12 months, you're writing a search title. Some videos can blend both, but you need to be intentional about it. Let me give you a simple framework you can use every time you sit down to write a title. Step 1. Decide what traffic source you're targeting, browse or search. That determines your approach. Step 2 is to identify which emotion you want to trigger. Curiosity, fear, or desire. That's your emotional core. Step 3 would be to write a rough title that captures that emotion. Step 4, review the words and ask, are there power words that could amplify this without making it feel dishonest? And step 5 is check the length. Is it 7 to 11 words? Does the most compelling part come first? Does it work if it gets cut off at 55 characters or so? And run every title through those 5 steps and you'll be already ahead of 90% of creators out there. Most people write titles as an afterthought. They finish the video, slap a description on it, and hit publish. That's backwards. Your title deserves as much creative attention as the content itself, maybe more, because at the end of the day, a great video with a weak title will always underperform a decent video with a great title. That's just how YouTube works. The click comes first, everything else comes after. Start treating your titles like the most important piece of copy you write, because on YouTube they are. If you got value from this video, then there's plenty more where this came from. And if you want more one-on-one help and support along your journey, you can join my 100% free school community, link down in the first link in the description. And if you got value from this video, I would appreciate it if you could drop a like on it, comment anything relating to YouTube and your YouTube channel, and I'll get back to you, and I'll see you in the next video.